Welcome back to Close Up. Corky Messner has the backing of President Trump, but he still has to get the ball across the primary goal line himself on September 8th. Mr. Messner is linking up with us this morning. Thanks for joining us, Corky.
Hey, Adam. Thanks for having me.
So you've really been trying to focus your efforts on Jeanne Shaheen in this race, but this primary looks like it could be a close one on election night. What difference, other than the Trump endorsement, can you highlight for GOP voters to show them that you're the right choice for the general election?
Yeah, Adam, thanks for the question. I have leadership experience in the military. I have leadership experience in the private sector. I know how to create jobs. I've created jobs for my own business and for other businesses. I know how to get things done. I've done that my entire business career, and I know how small business operates, and I know how to help small businesses here in New Hampshire. You know, I grew up in a blue-collar family, Adam, and I'm entirely self-made, and I want to make sure everybody in New Hampshire has the opportunity presented by individual liberty and economic freedom.
This has become a pretty hard-nosed race, and Don Bolduc has straight up said he doesn't think that you're trustworthy. This is an Army general who served in the War on Terror. His words carry some weight, so how do you respond?
Yeah, I think it's really outrageous that my primary opponent has taken to those kind of slanderous attacks. And I think that's beneath the voters here in New Hampshire. They're focused on the issues, and I'm focused on beating Jeanne Shaheen. She's not doing anything in Washington, D.C. for Granite Staters. She's not worked hard to try to get more help to the people in New Hampshire. She's not done enough in Washington, D.C. to help small businesses in New Hampshire and help get this economy going.
One of the issues on which General Bolduc has criticized you is some of the scrutiny on this school scholarship foundation, the Messner Foundation that you set up in Colorado, that's now facing some scrutiny back there. You've said this story has been unfairly characterized, but it's a fact that the foundation only did give away one scholarship scholarships to one student over a period of a decade. So why is that?
Well, the allegations have been misrepresented. It's outrageous. In fact, Adam, what you just said is not true. The foundation has given out 7 scholarships to 2 students since 2016. And again, I mean, this is beneath the voters of New Hampshire. We need to be focused on the issues that are important to Granite Staters, getting this economy going, helping small businesses, navigating safely through COVID-19. And having representation in Washington, D.C. that will help the Granite State.
Let's turn to the pandemic now. The COVID-19 is far more extensive here than it is in the rest of the developed world, and it's not just because we're a big country with lots of numbers, it's the rate as well. Why does this disparity exist, and do you think President Trump has any responsibility?
Well, the Chinese Communist Party are the ones that are responsible for the COVID-19 situation in the United States. Let's not forget that. And also, let's remember that President Trump, issued a travel ban from China in late January. And as Dr. Fauci testified a few weeks ago, that decision saved many, many, many lives in the United States, as well as the decision by President Trump to ban travel from Europe and the UK and other places. And I might remind you that the Democrats and Jeanne Shaheen opposed those decisions that President Trump made to stop the travel from China and Europe. And those decisions saved a lot of lives. And, and I think President Trump has done a good job. You got to remember that the governors of these states, with the support and help of President Trump, are the ones that have been managing the COVID situation in their states. And Governor Sununu's done a fine job here in New Hampshire. And President Trump and the federal government has brought together a public-private partnership to help the states and support the states. In New York, they went in and built that hospital in the Javits Center. President Trump sent in the hospital ship, and provided the support to the state. And the governors made various decisions and different decisions in each of the states. And we know that here Governor Sununu has done a good job. In New York State, Governor Cuomo hasn't done such a great job.
If President Trump can get a vaccine before the end of the year and it's effective, it's going to be one of the crowning achievements of his presidency. So would you take that vaccine? Would you encourage other people to take it too?
Yeah, Adam, I think first and foremost that the speed at which that vaccine is being developed is a really good thing. And I think President Trump has done a good job, again, with the public-private, whole of America approach to accelerate the development of those vaccines. I then think the government and the pharmaceutical companies ought to fully disclose all information about whatever vaccines they are that they've come up with, so that the American people have all the information available, so that the American people can make an informed decision about whether to take the vaccine or not. And for me right now, Adam, it's hard to say if I would or would not take it because I don't have any information about it. I would want to see what the information that's disclosed about any vaccine. I would be inclined to say that I would take it, but I think I would want to read about it first.
Fair enough. There's been a lot of attention focused on the violence in Kenosha, Wisconsin, after the officer-involved shooting there. Of course, following that shooting, there was protests, and a 17-year-old is now charged in the killings of 2 people there, using an AR-15 to kill 2 protesters. He was supposedly there to maintain order. Should he have been there, though, armed like that?
Well, I think, first of all, Adam, you know, the situation in Kenosha, Wisconsin is unacceptable. We cannot allow that to happen in our cities. And peaceful protests are a good thing. It's protected by the First Amendment. But this rioting and vandalism and threatening people cannot happen. As far as that young man, being there, I don't think he should have been there. I don't think we need vigilante justice. I think we need to support the police. We need to make sure the police have plenty of funds to do their job in those situations, and we don't need vigilante justice in this country.
I want to ask you about a movement that's been gaining some traction over the last few years on the right. That's QAnon. This is essentially a conspiracy theory that holds that a shady network of child traffickers is trying to bring down President Donald Trump. Do you reject QAnon, or are its adherents welcome in your campaign?
Adam, I don't know much about QAnon. I've not read about them. I don't know what they stand for, and I certainly would not welcome anybody into my campaign, any organization that I don't know much about.
All right, so we've got a big debate coming up this week. Take us through your strategy for the Granite State debates.
Adam, I'm focused on serving the people in New Hampshire. I'm focused on my history, my record, my history in business and the military, and I'm focused on exposing Jeanne Shaheen for the progressive she is. I mean, Jeanne Shaheen hides in the fog of Washington, D.C. She's not serving Granite Staters. She's loyal to the progressives. She's loyal to Nancy Pelosi. She votes with them 98% of the time. And she's not looking out for Granite Staters. She's not worked hard enough to protect Granite Staters, and I want to expose her for the progressive that she is.
Thank you so much for joining us on Close Up. We'll see you on that distance debate stage.